who had an amazing music career despite not beginning to study music or even take piano lessons till the age of 15. Well, today I want to tell you about a Canadian composer by the name of Jaques Hetu. Jaques was born in 1938 in French Quebec, Canada, into a very modest, kind family, but they were not musicians. But they appreciated education, they appreciated culture and music, of course. But many composers I've talked about, they started at such an early age, 3, 4, they were composing before they were 10, but not him. He actually didn't really start studying piano or any kind of music until he was 15. But he was so talented, he was so good immediately. His talent was so undeniable that just a few years later, couple years later, he was accepted into the conservatory in Quebec and he started learning composition and took it very seriously. But again, he was so good, he won competitions and he won a very prestigious scholarship that took him across the sea to Paris. And in Paris, he studied with two of the most influential composers of the 20th century. It was Henri Detilu and Olivier Messiaen. And this is where things get really interesting because Messiaen was known for this highly experimental music, for these complex rhythms, these unusual harmonies, and really bold new ideas. And many of the people that were studying under him, they embraced it, they loved it, and they took it on as their own. And this avant-garde music became very popular. But Hetu, although he appreciated and he had learned all that he could from it, it wasn't his thing, it was not his voice, and so he did not embrace it. And it created quite some conflict. In fact, the decision not to follow this trend was truly one of the defining struggles of his life. He returned to Canada in 1960s, and avant-garde music was really taken off in Canada as well. Yet he did not do it, and he kind of had to make this real conscious choice. Like, is he going to follow what he likes, what he wants to do, but probably be laughed at in a way by the established, music people at the time? Or is he just going to give in? Because he was able to do what they were doing, and he ended up choosing what he believed was his integrity, and he just wrote. Now, a lot of people were writing about that they didn't like it. It wasn't new, it wasn't innovative, it was old, but the musicians loved it. His music, they blended lyricism and this emotional depth with strong technical craftsmanship. It was very solid, it was very good. But it was also infused with modern harmony. He didn't want to reject the past. He wanted to just build upon it. And it paid off because over time he became one of the most performed, to this day, Canadian composers. He was quite prolific. He wrote symphonies, he wrote concertos, chamber works, choral works, and they're still very often performed. At the same time as composing all these works, he also built a long, influential career as an educator, and he taught for over 40 years, including at the University of Quebec in Montreal. He really shaped generations of young composers, teaching them not only the technique and the things that they really needed to know, but also find your own voice and ignore what everybody else is saying. He received numerous awards throughout his lifetime, and I think these honors really confirmed what musicians already knew, was that his music had long-lasting value. Sadly, being taken seriously, it was a struggle for his entire career. It just didn't make sense because people loved hearing it, audiences, people loved performing it, but it wasn't new enough. If you listen to it, it is new. But it wasn't the avant-garde thing that people were trying, the experimentation that was such a deal, and that remained an issue for his entire life. And towards the end of his life, he was sadly diagnosed with lung cancer, but then he received this huge honor in the music world. He received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 13th Gala des Prix Opus, and this was such a recognition and such a confirmation that him following his own voice had been the right decision. And very shortly after that, he passed away from lung cancer. He leaves such a long legacy. I think, of course, teachers always leave a legacy, but also as a composer. But I think the thing he really taught us is that sometimes the bravest thing that an artist can do is to remain grounded in what they already believe their truth is and not be swayed. His music is really beautiful. Go and listen to something by Jaques Hetu.